welcome to another episode of the Spohn Trained Personal Development Podcast. My guest today I saw on stage at a Tony Robbins event. He was charismatic. He took, 10,000 people through a bunch of different exercises that shifted your breathing and your posture and put you really into a whole different state. And then we kind of got to chat at Life and Wealth Mastery, almost 2 years ago now in San Diego, and built a relationship from there. And welcome, Brian Bradley.
Yeah, thanks, boss. What's going on?
We have a lot of directions we could go with this. So first, let's talk about what it is that you do with the Egoscue method. I didn't even touch on that. So what is the Egoscue method? What is it that you do? What's your primary modality when working with people?
Hands off, which is kind of cool because I came from the hands-on world coming out of university, athletic training, going toward my physical therapy, blah, 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 working for Health South. People were always going, oh, my knee hurts. And I would say, well, if I move this, oh, look at that. Yeah, you have some play there. You have a knee injury versus going, you have a knee injury, dumbass, meaning myself. Like, ooh, you're such an expert because you moved my knee, Brian. I got off on that kind of stuff. Like, look at me, I can move this. Versus going, let's see, there's swelling. They felt it pop. And there's a twist when I look at the film. I mean, it's not rocket science, right? Why did it happen? Is what Egoscue answered for me that university didn't. So when somebody says to me, my shoulder's stuck here, and when I go any higher, my elevated shoulder does this, rather than a free moving abduction of the arm. Look at the cause versus the symptom. Hands off really turned me on with that because you don't have to be a rocket scientist to really understand this. I just came back from Life Wealth Mastery in Tenerife, Spain, 600 people. And we were sitting outside answering questions, and I was basically sitting back like this with my feet up on the table, and they're like, you're the posture guy. Why aren't you sitting up straight? And I said, because that has nothing to do with it. It has to do with you applying a little bit of stimulus every day that you don't need me, the expert, around to do the hands-on work to you. So it's like brushing your teeth. Only brush and floss the teeth you want to keep. And the hands-on work, you have to do the maintenance in between.
So you do a lot of preventative exercises, stabilizing alignment with this protocol. And then you also do, if somebody comes in and they've had years of chronic issues or pain or a car accident, and you do the exercises to help relieve them and to put them back into alignment as well, right?
Yeah, that's number one is injury. Somebody coming in who says, I have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain. That's the number one thing. And then you have
who doesn't these days, right?
Oh, you're exactly right. Because and what do they blame?
Sitting at a desk.
That's correct. But is sitting going anywhere? Is it going away?
No. Mm-mm.
Planes, trains, automobiles. Great movie, by the way. But planes, trains, automobiles, sitting at seminars, you and I for a half an hour like this. I mean, we're sitting on our butt in flexion. I'm actually sitting like this on purpose. This is comfortable. I don't need to be going, I'm the posture guy and you should be doing this. And I'm so tired of people saying, well, I put this device on my back and it tells me when I bend over too much. No, your spine is supposed to be able to bend over too much. So I met with that company at an NBA event 2 weeks ago in New York. And I said, listen, no offense, guys, but the doc and I are speaking the same terminology. I'm just giving you the solution as to why the thing is buzzing all day long. Get your body out of this position, back into the normal alignment without having to think about it. Because think about how busy you are. If I said to you, yeah, you got to be thinking about your posture 24/7. Or one of my football players at the 49ers or the Cubs or the Texas Rangers, these pitchers cannot think, Brian said, pull my spine back, do this, and then throw the ball. It needs to be there for a $180 million athlete.
And I'm sure that I think about it more than most people you'll come across because I teach body language and I'm familiar with these principles. But most people in our daily lives are stagnant. We're sitting here for 8 hours at a time, right? This is my third interview in a row that I'm doing today. So I'm just in this posture. So I guess chronically that's one of the biggest things that you see is this lack of range of motion or people being bent over, not moving.
Yeah, but the remedy is not sitting. The remedy is not to take sitting away and say, let's go to a standing desk. For example, this picture just came over from one of my clinics the other day, And geez, I hope I open up the right picture. This is so take a look at that posture. Does he look stooped over?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's the after picture.
Okay.
Here's the before.
Oh yeah.
That's a real posture that somebody approaches us with.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's their reality. That's not your reality, because you look in the mirror every day, and let's be honest, you probably look in the mirror too much. I know you. You're worse than I am. Where you're like this, hey, what's up? All right, yeah. But it's a good thing, right? And we're at least honest about it. But everybody listening to this gets in front of the mirror and goes, shit, I used to be here, and these used to be here, and everybody's pissed off about their body dropping. The way you get it not to drop, number one, nutrition, meaning eat smaller portions. And to be honest, I don't care what you eat. Eat smaller portions of McDonald's and your body will not disappoint you. Now, I don't know what it's going to do to the rest of your body, but it's when we supersize that stuff. When you go to a restaurant and they go, here's your meal, and you look at it and go, gee, I hope you have a to-go box because I'm going to feed some homeless guy for a week after this, because they give you so much food, because it's not high quality. So eat less. Number two, move more. It's really that simple. Mm-hmm. Number three, most important, change your mind from hope to belief. Gee, I hope this is going to help me. Well, there's a big old hole in hope. You got to get rid of hope and you got to switch it up to belief, where you're leaving hope and going to belief. And when that happens, that's a massive change, because then somebody sits all day long at a movie and says, sitting's not bad for me. Brian said, well, you're exactly right. Why is sitting not bad for you? Now that person gets approached by somebody who's selling a stand-up desk, because the posture that I'm taking to standing or sitting goes with me to either one. So if I fix the posture, then it's okay for you to sit for 90 minutes doing this, and then editing it, and then posting it, and then all the post-production stuff that people don't even know is going into what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to do it from a standing desk. Now, standing desk would be beneficial, but if you're applying the stimulus to get your body from here to here, that takes place of the need for you to be ergonomically correct, because you've ergonomically corrected the actual problem.
Okay, so how do we get that posture, the base, the foundation of that solid, so that I can sit, I can stand, I can move, I can go through my whole range of motions or no range of motion for limited amounts of time, and be healthy and feel good?
Well, I'm going to give you guys some exercises to do after this event, right? Like your people should be able to click this link or whatever, and they'll be able to get to our website. It'll give them the exercises, all that.
Sure.
But in the interim, everybody who's doing this needs to be able to do this exercise, and it's pretty simple.
So for those listening, this one might be a good episode to go watch on YouTube, and we'll provide the link and the link to all of your resources online as well, Brian.
Wait a second. Why are they not looking at this face? You mean there's people that just listen?
There's some that just listen to the podcast, but for this episode, they're definitely
missing. Remember, Halloween's coming. You want to get a good, Halloween mask idea. So ideally, I want people to stand like this. 45 degrees in, pigeon-toed, and then take your knees and push them back like that. So you're tightening up your quads. What that'll do is that'll kick your hips back. And at the same time, interlace your hands at the top of the back of your head and pull your elbows back like that. Uh-huh. So pigeon-toed, 45 degrees.
So this is one you have us do at Unleash the Power Within, right? When you're on stage.
That's correct.
Everybody.
I don't know if I took the whole crowd through that the first time, but I just did it again at Wealth, Life Wealth. And I can tell you, people were coming up going, can I do that all day long? And then we had the discussion, no, that's going to create its own problems, but you can do them as quick interrupts. And I'll be doing it on the airplane tomorrow to Singapore for 14 hours.
Yeah. Okay. So that's one. And that starts to, what is that doing for my physiology? What's that training?
Why did I have you stand pigeon-toed?
Right. Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Well, why don't you stand up and try it? Ladies and gentlemen, he has left the chair. Yes. Okay, so just relax and stand there with your feet normal ones.
Okay.
Just feel where your hips are, feel where your shoulders are. And now turn your toes in 45 degrees and push your knees back. And what did that do to your hips and low back?
My hips rolled, my lower back came in a little bit, and this all came out.
That's correct. So all of a sudden you went to, because what I'm tired of are people doing this. Oh, you said pull my shoulder blades together. When meanwhile, my head's up here already. Let me pull my shoulder blades together and I'm up here even more. It's not about the shoulder blade. It's about the actual spine doing this.
Gotcha.
Each segment of the spine, pretend these knuckles are the spine and like the low back ends right here to the mid back to the neck. This part of your spine, the T-spine, is critical to get each vertebrae to go up, 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 up. That's why when you go to the chiropractor, where do they start the adjustment? They go to your neck, or they'll finish with your neck, but they absolutely go to that mid back and go, lay back on my hand and pop. You get like 20 cracks up your mid back. Well, they have the right idea by getting that segment to change, but why was it going the other direction is the $1 million question. And only you, the client, has the answer to that because you live there every day. So there's that emotional component of protect myself. And then there's that physical component of I'm sitting on my butt all day doing nothing. It's not sitting that's the problem. It's the doing nothing. Remember, eat smaller amounts, move a little. It can't get any easier than that. And I'm talking eat stromboli every day for the rest of your life if you want to. Small amounts versus let's have the whole thing. Remember, the palm of your hand is what really you can handle internally. Then you mix that with a little bit of the same thing over here. The palm of your hand. How many exercises could I write on the palm of your hand? Probably 4. So I'll give you 4 exercises, right, when we're done with this. Or the one that we just did, standing like that for a minute, could be a game changer.
Simple, right? And I know you worked with Tony for years, and watching him as a young man, when he's speaking, he kind of had this like neck forward thing, and now his posture's totally different. And he talks about that 2 millimeter shift where the chest comes up, and that's all from turning those toes in and training that physiology, right? And we'll talk about the emotions in a little bit, but talk about, kind of working with Tony and his posture, because he's so good with that.
Let's just go back to 9/11, right? 9/11 hits, and God bless us, we're coming up on 9/11, right? From 2000, 99, 98, 97, 96, 95, 94, we're in Kona or Maui somewhere doing Life Wealth Mastery. They used to be like 9-10 days long. It was crazy. 9-10 days of him being on stage. And I'm talking start at 7, end at 3, and he's up again at 6, ready to go at 7. Well, 4 days into it, and don't get me wrong, he's eating, he's doing all this, he's doing everything to burn the candle at both ends. For what reason? Because I want to give, and contribute. That's who that guy is.
Right.
The problem with that is, physiologically, you're burning from both ends, and eventually everything's going to go. But I would get him at 4 a.m. when my phone would ring, and I'd go, who do I need to kill? Calling me at 4 a.m. And it would be, Brian, listen, Tony just got off stage. He's doing this. I go, yeah, no problem. We got to keep the juggernaut going. I'll be right up. Boom. Hang up. Bitching the whole way up to that room. Son of a bitch. I'm so pissed. Blah, 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 blah. I get up there, and he's like, yeah, look, he goes, before I go to bed, I want to get this, and I have this going on. I got to be on stage tomorrow. And I look at him, and 4 days into it, his hips have completely gone the opposite of what yours did, pigeon-toed. So it's that no butt disease, the overdose on no acetol, where you have no ass at all. The whole thing drops under like that. And then once that happens, what happens to your upper back? Does it stand up straighter, or does it start to offset the other way? So what you see is his head up here, still trying to give, and then he starts to yell more because he can't get the words out because diaphragm can't fire, which doubles the expense of caloric expenditure, makes him so much less efficient. And to be honest, he's the master. But to be honest, when you're here, you cannot listen with your instincts in this position. You're listening, you're logically and cognitively there, but there's no way your instincts are kicking in to hear what the person's really thinking. He's a master at all of that. Got it. But now where he's at is so much more conditioned because I had to stop being nice to him, and he started traveling with Billy Beck, and Billy's a beast. And so Billy's helping him on the kine side, the nutrition side. What you put in is what you're going to get out. And then implementing a lot of the stuff that we do prior to all that movement and making sure it gets done. So for example, Tony, you're going to fly back from Singapore back to the US. Yes. Private jet? Yes. Okay, well, it seems to me, since you own the jet, that you could spend some time doing whatever you want on that plane. Yeah, but I got to do this. I said, yeah, but it's your jet. So you could actually lay down on the floor and do 3 exercises for me, right? I can do whatever I want. It's my jet. That's what I was listening for. Instead of me saying, do what you want, it's your jet, I was waiting for him to go, I can do whatever I want, it's my jet. And so now I get him to do some exercises just in, you get off stage, you go back to your room. Before you get into bed, which takes a little bit of time, spend time in 2 positions that will allow your T-spine to move to a better position to allow you into that deeper sleep. And honestly, to allow you to listen to the syntax that's going on for tomorrow, because it's a production. Like if you've never seen the back end of this stuff and you've seen it as a plat, that stuff's crazy. It's a rock show.
Yeah. There's a lot of moving parts. I've crewed it, and it's pretty crazy what happens at those events. So, we're talking personal development here, and we've touched on a lot of these things that affect us. Why our physiology, our posture, our alignment not only affects how efficient we are at our food, it affects the emotions, the thought patterns that we tap into. It affects our pain, right? So all of these things affect the quality of our life and the quality of our performance. And so with Tony, and I know for me, when I'm starting to get run down and I have, acid in my body, my posture is like, I notice it. It's one of the first things to go. My shoulders come forward, my head comes down, and it's like, it's more work to come up. And so when I'm able to get those back up in alignment, clean my body out, my thoughts, emotions are so much better. And the way that I feel and move is totally different.
Why does that happen? Like, why do you allow yourself to get over to that? I'm not even, listen, no judgment, because
right.
How do you, and I've seen you, right? And I know how committed you are to yourself and to others. How do you get yourself over here?
It's a lot of times when I'm traveling, trying to get my diet right, my sleep's off, I'm at events, going back and forth, doing exercises and all of those things. I only let myself get there for a day or two. I come home, get everything cleaned out, and I'm back on track. So it's not like it's a chronic issue, but there are times when I dip into that, not feeling optimal.
Or enjoy the shit out of that cheeseburger. Eat that piece of pizza and a soda for that day, and take the judgment away from it and literally say, okay, pizza, I know you're not the highest quality, but I know there's some nutrient, literally talking to your food. Maybe not out loud, because then you'll be arrested, but you're talking to your food going, tomorrow I'm going to clean up. So I came back from Life Wealth in Tenerife, and we went out. I had 3 people traveling with me. They wanted to experience it. We went through a couple bottles of wine and stuff like that, just to experience what Spain was about. Great. And I said, it's made of grapes. It's doing this, I'm half Italian. It's not going to hurt you, blah, 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 all this other stuff. But I said to myself, when I get back, I'm going to be juicing for lunch. First cold pressing of juices and stuff like that.
Yep.
Breakfast, I'll have bulletproof coffee every morning. I did over there too, which is always consistent. And then third, if I want pizza for dinner, I'm having it. If I want to have a grass-fed lamb or grass-fed steak or just full vegetable, then I'm going to do it. But it's mindset. And you know as well as I do that you can make that 2mm shift as long as you change your mind. But your mind, if it doesn't affect your heart, then it's not a true belief change. It's a Stuart Smalley from Saturday Night Live. People like me. I dress well. He says these
but he's not congruent, right?
Correct. So take the judgment away from putting something in your mouth that you think is going to be bad for you. So here's me flying back from Tenerife, and I had 4 other people on the plane who know me. Brian, wow, you're here. Can we ask you some more questions? I said, yeah, that's exactly what I want is after 8 days, let's do more work. And I saw answer a couple of questions as I'm drinking a Coke in front of them. And they had just got done off of a week of colonics and all that. And they're like, well, I don't get it. And I said, that's the problem. You don't get it. It's okay as long as it's periodic and as long as I change my mind about the gift that I'm giving myself versus the injury that I'm giving myself.
I think there's often more damage done from the judgment of the food that we eat than the actual food itself.
Change think to know.
Yeah.
I know there's more damage done. Remember at one of the, I don't know if you were there a long time ago, at one of the winter events with Platt. I don't know if you were at that one, but Bush spoke one year, Clinton spoke another year. And so it was perfect because you had both sides. And Clinton had just lost the election. She just lost to Trump. So she was out, gone, she wasn't in the public eye. And everybody wanted to ask, but nobody did, thank God. But they did ask him this question: what do you do about all the negative that's said about you? Now let's equate the negative that's said about Bill Clinton to the pizza and Coca-Cola you're going to put into your body. They're both negative. Mm-hmm. But he said, I refuse to view things as, I don't take them personally, ever, but I do take them seriously, and I assume the person's right, whatever they said about me. Then I backtrack from there to see if I contributed to their narrative that gave them that conclusion. I take the same mentality to food. This is time that I get to spend with my family. My son after practice wanted this. Who am I to deny that? We're going to sit down. We're going to enjoy it. It'll be a memory that we're building. All that clearly outweighs you're having cheese and bread. Oh my gosh. Gluten's going to kill you. I'm sorry, but it's not. It's your mindset and it's the amount. So instead of having 5 pieces of pizza, I'll have 1 or 2. And if there's a salad there that's full of vegetables and all this stuff, I'll have it with it. And you know what? I'm having a Coke. You know what? I'm going to have a cherry Coke. I'm going to really push the envelope here. So it's about what you're actually putting into your system and how you're viewing it, which is the same thing that has to be changed about these exercises. If somebody views these exercises as work, and my God, I don't have any time, I promise you the result's going to be this long term. But if you're doing it saying, you're going to get listeners who send me a question and say, well, how often should I do the exercises? Let's answer it now. Only do it on the days that you brush and floss your teeth. So if that's every day, which I had some guy at Tenerife go, so on Monday. And I'm like, bro, you better be brushing more than Monday. But he may have looked like he brushed only on Mondays. I'm not really sure if I'm remembering right. But so you and I were talking earlier in regards to the emotional component and how you could take a PTSD can happen to any event. If people have ever gone through divorce with children, there's PTSD type of that shit. And it never goes away because you have children. People in a car wreck, PTSD. People in the military, PTSD. And having that PTSD, maybe becoming a bazillionaire later, but they don't want to go back here. All of that has these negative emotions tied to it. So that's your line of work.
Yeah. So we talked about that before we got on this call, is those emotions store in our physiology. And I know you said you started to do some work at one of the events and people were starting to have these shifts where they didn't experience those emotions anymore. They didn't have that PTSD in their system, whatever it might be. So how do these exercises affect the emotions that are in our body?
So when a person's in that forward, mid-back, shoulder blades rounded, head forward, and if they just say, well, Brian said, pull my shoulder blades together, I'll start feeling better. That's not true. You're actually going to start feeling worse because you're putting plaster over a wall that's cracked without fixing the foundation below. You never ask why. So remember, instead of pulling the shoulder blades together, we got to get the incremental change to the mid-back to have somebody stand up straight. So this is why it's critical for somebody to listen and watch this podcast, because these little changes that we're talking about, if you can't get the visual yourself, then get on this podcast, view it, because this beautiful artwork that I'm doing with my hand is just unbelievably, unprecedentedly beautiful. That's some humor. And when we talk about somebody emotionally being tied to this flexion position, where do you go when you're hurt? You go to that, man, my feelings are hurt. You go there. What people don't think about is, where does your pelvis go? Mm-hmm. And when somebody says that gut feeling that you're dealing with is never really up here at your heart, it's down here. Like, my gut is telling me this. Well, your gut is sitting on a pelvic floor and it should be moving the way that it should be moving versus being locked down. And more importantly, there's a long muscle that fans out into the spine called the psoas, and we call it the emotional turn-on switch. It's the circuit breaker for all of your core musculature to fire as a group. And without it, you're just parts training. And parts that's like putting a Ferrari race car on there going, well, we don't have a Ferrari part. Let's put a Ford motor part in there. It'll work for another 4 laps. Then the car pulls in again. Well, now, okay, we're out of that. Let's put a spark plug from an Isuzu in there. Blah, blah. Is Isuzu still around? I'm not sure. But I don't know either. But if they're driving and they're doing all this stuff, you're just chronically in this inflamed position. if you want, and I know the people listening to your podcast do, because they want to move themselves psychologically, emotionally, and physically and tie that realm together, they have to change the physical foundation of their body. And listen, I've been doing this 30 years. I don't waste my time. If I saw that Egoscue was not effective, I would find either another modality or I'd create my own. Now, I've created a lot of this, but as a person who loves what Egoscue does because of the effectiveness and the efficiency of it, and hearing changes like I just showed you on my phone all the time, the proof is by them doing the exercises. So what I would rather have them do is this. They can stand over here in this place and close their eyes and picture an event that they didn't have a lot of fun with. Go back to that day when you actually, for example, filed for divorce, or they filed for the divorce, or they were a recipient of a, here's your walking papers at a job that you loved and you didn't think you were doing something wrong. And meanwhile, it's been a blessing because you've been let go, because you've changed and flourished into whatever. But there's that one moment that you were so negative. And then you do the exercises that we're going to provide you, the 4 exercises. Well, definitely the 3, the arm circles, elbow curls, and the overhead extension. Standing with your feet fist width apart, 5 degrees toed in, which is massively important. Because once you turn the foot out, you've unlocked all that closed pack system. And you change that T-spine and your hips respond accordingly. Then I want you to close your eyes again, and I dare you to feel the same way about that negative situation. Now, the reason I say that, and I put it in those words, is because I already know the result. But I know there'll be the people who go, yeah, okay, well, mine's so negative, and I'm so this, and I'm so this. Remember, it's all about that significance, and I'm not judging that significance either, because you're looking at the most significance-driven dude in the world, and I'm kicking some fucking ass. I'm sorry.
You and me both. I think that's why we get along, Brian.
Okay, maybe beep that out. Sorry. But my kid's at school, so I can say that. But the ideal situation is that you can use that significance to your benefit, which I have. So I look at that and say, when a person goes, okay, I identify with my PTSD, that's who I am. And they're just negative, 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 negative. I mean, my son and I had this discussion yesterday. I walked upstairs and, so what'd you think about this? And he's like, well, one of his friend's teammates plays in college and had his team photos taken in soccer. And he goes, it looks like he skipped leg day. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, look how big his upper body is. And I said, didn't he already have big legs before? And he goes, yeah, but his upper body's even more out of alignment with that. And I said, how about you start out with this? It's amazing that he's playing D1 soccer. 2, those outfits, those kits that they're wearing look killer. And then maybe find the negative over here. But if you go here first and find 2 positives, force yourself, then you won't feel as strongly about the negative.
Right.
It's the same mentality, except we're giving you the physiological anchor to hold those in. And there's a position called static back, which if you lay, well, not even if, it's when you lay on your back and you do this, this artwork is worth a lot of money, bro. And you lay down like this. Again, your people are going to have to watch this. They're laying on the floor in that position.
So laying flat with your legs up 90 degrees, just like you're sitting in a chair, except you're laying down.
Yeah, you're on the floor. Why do I choose the floor, not the bed?
Flat. It's harder surface.
It pushes right up against your back. So it's acting as your chiro, giving you that adjustable change to your mid-back without you just pulling your shoulder blades together. And then your head will correspond. And because, remember this is the weight of the head. If it's forward like this, these are 2 forward head positions, but look at the weight of the head when it goes forward like that.
So there's two images here. One says 32 pounds, the other says 42 pounds. And the one that's, so leaning forward, when your head's forward, you're going to have a much heavier weight on your spine, right?
But something has to hold it up. So look at if you knew anatomy, the whole ligamentous structure going down the back of your spine now goes to, we better wake up and hold tight like this. So now just squeeze your bicep as hard as you can like that. Damn, dude, you've been working. Look at that thing.
I've been working out a little bit.
Yeah, guns. Guns like that are illegal in California, but if you squeeze it hard enough, and I tell you, hold that for a week,
Not going to happen.
doesn't make sense. But yet the person walking around like that is constantly firing the small muscles to do this. They're so oxygen deprived. They're like beef jerky, and I'm talking shitty beef jerky, not even grass-fed, really good stuff. You get them in this position and say, just let your body settle down in that position. 30 minutes, 3 times a week. It'll have a massive difference on their upper back. The next time they're in an argument with something, phone call, person they're fighting with in their house, go down, get into that position, take 5 deep breaths, and I dare you to feel the same about the conversation. You might still be pissed off, but it doesn't have a grip on you. Like, it's okay to get pissed. Right. It's okay to problem solve, but it doesn't have to be a game changer where it's forever affected your relationship with that person in the house, and then your judgment starts.
Well, so, the mind-body connection is such a powerful thing that I think most people often overlook. And when you're stuck in a range of motion in your body, you're stuck in a range of emotion, right, as well. And so the Egoscue method allows that, opening up, getting back into alignment, where you can move through the full range of motion and emotion. And that's what really personal development is all about, is being able to kick those emotion and those limiting beliefs and those patterns that you're stuck into. And there's a million ways to do it, right? With hypnosis and with cleansing and with all this stuff. And Egoscue and postural alignment is one of those that just allows you to open that body up, connect with the mind in the right way. And like you're talking about with the gut, and listen to your internal system in a way that most of us can't, because we can't access that range of motion.
Look, we should have opened up with that statement, because that's exactly the tie into 50% of my business is getting the person to change their hope, which is, gee, Brian, I hope you can help me, to I believe that I can get well. Mm-hmm. Now, the difference is, Brian, I hope you can help me. The finger's still pointing out. There's still 3 fingers pointing back, right? I need you to believe that your symptom is not permanent, because it's not. It'll soon and very quickly become something of the past.
How many people come to you with a permanent diagnosis from a doctor that you're able to shift them out of, or help them shift out of?
Sorry, let me hit that again. The internet went down.
Yeah, I said, how many people come to you after seeing a doctor and getting some diagnosis that they're going to suffer with this thing forever, and you're able to help them move through a range of motion and at least experience some kind of relief from it?
Well, remember, I deal with 2 or 3 groups of people. So the Tony Robbins world, they're already in some kind of belief change.
Sure.
Let's just go to our clinics. 100% walk into our clinic going, I've been given this diagnosis, and I've tried everything. $195,000 I spent last year. $195,000 on this, and I had a surgery, and I sold my car and did this. That creates a huge problem for me, because in about 15 minutes, you're going to feel so much better. And then I have one pissed off patient on my hand, because they're going, $195,000. And right now I'm 85% better after 4 exercises that are geared at changing my thoracic spine and taking the rotation out of it and getting my hip to do its job. Hold on. Okay. So ideally, we have to get back to a point where we get people to get their hip to be the driver and their upper back to be the passenger. Mm-hmm. And once that happens, it's a game changer.
So we'll go over a couple of those exercises in a minute, but I want to go back to one thing you talked about, the psoas. So I know I've been kind of lately working on stretching that myself and doing some exercises for it. Talk about the importance of the psoas, and you even mentioned that it ties everything together emotionally as well.
The psoas, if you think about this, it's on the inside of this bone, way up in your groin area, on the back side of this femur, like not way back, but on the inside back. It crosses through the hip and comes up into the spine like this. So it's basically that direction. And it actually fans out like this. Like, see how my hands are thicker up here?
Yep.
Now, because of that, it also works like a hammock. So it basically hammocks a lot of your internal organs. And at the same time, your aorta is dropping down here, and it splits off and runs the same path. So if you saw the lymph nodes, the aortic blood flow, the fanning of the muscle to be a support mechanism, it's almost like the muscle moving and contracting and releasing because it attaches to the spine. Everybody thinks it's a spinal muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, it controls a lot of that. But if you really want to fire your abs and your back and your core, then you better turn on the switch called your psoas. And I'm not talking about work it harder, because a lot of people have tight, short, weak, and it just sits like this. And so does their emotion. We've got to get them to do what? Do you stretch the psoas or do you release the psoas?
I'm going to guess release.
Yeah, because look, hold your arm like this again. Keep the tightness in your bicep and straighten out your arm. It's still tight, but it's longer.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to let the muscle let go. It's got to release, not stretch. So we've got to get people into the idea that you want to release that emotion, you release the tightness, the shortness, the weakness that's sitting in the mid part of your body, which is that gut instinct, which then shuts your diaphragm down. And with over 22,000 times a day that your diaphragm should be doing this, it's not. And so then you're actually shallow breathing, which is one of the reasons why, you know, you've seen Tony with Conor McGregor a lot lately, right?
Yeah.
Why did he lose that last fight?
I watched him at weigh-ins, and I noticed his breath was short.
Bro, how do you breathe when you look like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, shoulders are rolled forward there. He's not usually fighting like that.
Well, that's how he entered the ring.
Yeah, usually he's got this like pompous head back, shoulders back, right?
Yep. And the reason why? Because he trained on a bicycle. So here's the two guys during one of the parts of the fight trying to do this. So here's the Ukrainian-Russian guy, and here's Conor.
So they're both leaning against the cage, and Khabib's got a full range of motion in his back, and Conor's kind of hunched over.
That's correct. Which people are going to see that because they're going to go home and watch this podcast.
They want to see your face, so they're going to see that picture.
Well, check this out. This one's even more important. This one is a game changer. Here's brain tissue, and all that white fluid in there is toxic buildup of cerebral spinal fluid and toxic protein buildup, which if I started filling up your cranium with water, drip, 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 in about 12 hours, you're going to go, my head's killing me. Because there's no room left. And here's the same brain 5 minutes later.
Gone. So what happened?
You change this. That's the spinal angle of that person. Look at the T spine, look at the C spine, the cervical, and the thoracic spine. There is no curvature. It should be here and then here, reversing itself, basically. Right. This one just straightened out, and it went that direction, and then the head went even more forward. This is an NFL guy that will end up beating up his family first, because there's the domestic violence part. And then the second will be, give me a gun so I can shoot myself in the chest because I know there's something wrong with my brain. That's what they do. Unless they keep changing that spinal position to reposition his cervical to allow his head, which in his words, my brain flushed like a toilet. I could feel that stuff leaving my head. No, I'm sorry. Any medical expert that says that patient is full of it, that can't happen, should not be allowed to practice anymore. Because you have a person now who said, I feel this happened to my body. How can you deny that?
Right.
I mean, you guys live in your body. I live in my body. Nobody knows what I go through every day. I do. But the outside people can assume they do, but I'm the one living in it. Listen, you're not broken. You're just slightly bent. And bent means we can bend it back a little bit. Broken means the metal pole snapped in half.
And then you gotta have surgery, right? If you're broken. But if you're bent, we can do some exercises. So do you want to share a couple exercises with us now?
You want to do them now?
Sure, let's do them. Keep them simple, but yeah. We'll put some links in to go to your website as well, but
I just want to make sure that people driving, here's the disclaimer. Don't do the exercises while driving. But this is the position of the foot. You need to be, here's turned out, here's turned out, and here's too wide. So when I say hip width, I'm not talking out here. I'm talking right in line with your hip joint, fist width apart between your big toes, and slightly toed in about 5 degrees. That's where I want you to be straight. So having said that, Jesus, I should have cleaned my kitchen if you guys are going to be doing it.
I can feel that stretch. It's good.
Well, it's a different rotation of your leg bone in the hip joint.
Yep.
Now in this position, take your hands, and if this is a fist, you want to open them up to like that. So you can see all these tendons over here, and your fingernails and palms could touch. So if you're like this, your fingernails are not touching. You got to be able to do that. That'll lock out your wrist. Remember, your feet, fist width apart, drop your shoulders. And when I say pull your shoulder blades together, what I'm not looking for is this. I'm not looking for you to go, I'm looking for this. Just slide your shoulder blades together and hold that. Then bring your arms up to 90 with the tension between your shoulder blades. And then kick off 40 circles this way. Then 40 circles this way. And then drop your shoulders, shake it out, check your foot position again. Put your hands in that same position against your temples. So the temple, you got to remember, is here, not back here, not here. It's right here, and get your ring finger onto your temple like this. So your ring finger's here, and then close it, open it.
This feels really good. Oh.
This one's amazing because, keep going by the way, because your shoulder blade glides across your back like this when you do it. And it actually, what we call abduct and adduct the shoulder blade. So it's moving those big tight muscles. And then the third exercise, you can just interlace your fingers together. But what are we doing first?
Toes.
Check your feet. Check your feet again. Fist width, 5 degrees turned in. Palms away. Thumbs down. And just take that straight up over your head. But here's what I don't want. I don't want to see you take your arm up over your head and do this. You're not going back like that. It's just bring your arm straight up. So you're going to interlace those hands together. Take it straight up over your head.
Oh,
hold that for about a minute. And then the fourth exercise that I'm going to give you guys is something we do at UPW also. And listen, the reason why I give you guys a lot of the same stuff when I'm dealing with a group of people is A, these three are safe. And then the fourth one, the greatest abdominal exercise ever, which is the running man. Because when you perturb so much movement up here and make it crazy, down at the base, it has to cone in, almost like a tornado. It's so beautiful on the bottom when it's doing this. But up here is where all the mayhem is. Mm-hmm. So we're creating mayhem with this. But at the base, your abdominal muscles have to fire. And what we really know is going to fire are your psoas muscles. That's really what's going to fire.
So that kind of brings us back full circle back into the psoas from these exercises, right?
That's right. And the cool part of it is we spent 3 exercises first to change the upper back to a position. Remember, it's upper back to a position, not just shoulder blades together. We got a reaction out of that. And here's how your people will know. Before they do the exercises, just have them walk across the room, feel barefoot what their feet are doing as they walk. Where's the heel strike? Where's the toe off? How did they feel getting out of bed? I kind of felt tight. I did this and this and this. I feel like I need to stretch. Or bend over, touch your toes. Like if they go to my Instagram, it's the Movement Nerd 50. Yeah, I know. But it's the Movement Nerd 50. And go down about 6 or 7 posts ago, you'll see a guy that's bending over. He has his shirt off from the Netherlands. He's a CrossFit owner. He was going through some serious emotional stuff and financial stuff with his business because his body was failing him. Mm-hmm. we gave him one exercise to prove to him that it's not about his low back, his mid back. It's about how his upper back and mid back are dictating everything. So when I gave him abdominal crunches, I did this, and he's like, my abs can do this. Why are you training my abs? And I said, well, what am I not allowing you to do? He said, well, you're not allowing me to do this. So we took that lever arm, made it so much longer, had him do the crunches like that, which you'll see on the Instagram. And bro, it was a game changer for this guy. Like, to the point where, I'm not going to say tears, but it was pretty heavy. It was one of those ones where I personally don't forget about guys like this, because it changed the way that he forever looks at, it changed the way that he forever bends over. You can see where most of the movement is in his mid back. Yeah. Nothing moved in his pelvis. And we gave him this exercise.
He looks like an athlete. Looks like he's in great shape.
Bro, he's in amazing shape. Like, there's no way I was taking my shirt off around this guy. But we did this, and here was the result after one exercise.
Wow.
Now, from a physics standpoint, all the stress is right where that red arrow is in his lower back. Mm-hmm. And over here, the pelvis took the stress and hinged forward, which is what you felt. And then his squat looked like this for the first squat. And it looked like that for the second squat.
Yeah, much more upright.
Which took the stress off his low back.
So these exercises have a lasting effect, right? We're not just like stretching and go about our day. We're doing these exercises, and it's shifting our posture going forward, right? And so we're just doing these continuously to train ourselves, just like we're brushing our teeth every day to maintain that posture, that flow of emotions and energy in our body, right?
Yeah, because what you're doing is you're adding a little bit of maintenance, a little bit, but the cumulative effect of maintenance means that race car is going to last 10 more years. Mm-hmm. So here's what we shot in Tenerife. I did a little talk on, this is a park at 9:30 at night.
I saw this on your Instagram. The kids running around. Yeah.
Bro. Okay. Yeah. That's one of my therapists. She's crazy. She's another one. But check this out. They built on that hill a place to climb up and slide down.
See that.
And that's why I titled it, Come On, America, We Got to Get Better. I love this country, but we are unknowingly the laziest country on the planet as it relates to physical. But where do you see most of the physical stuff coming out of? You know, all the fitness stuff's coming out of here. The rest of the world listens, blah, blah, blah. But we have to force ourselves to go to the gym or do exercise that really pushes us to high intensity. Versus, when's the last time you turned your phone off and went for a walk? And if you really want,
yesterday.
Really? Tell me about it.
Actually, I went for a run in the park. I don't know if that counts. Probably doesn't count. No, last week I was up in the Northwoods of Wisconsin playing outside.
Okay. Yeah, think about that. You had to go to Wisconsin to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm in San Diego. It's concrete central. But I forced myself to go barefoot and walk on grass and sand and cobblestone and stuff like that because of the reactivity effect from the bottom up.
Right.
We got to realize that any little thing that we do affects and has a cumulative effect up the chain from the foot. But if the hip is off, there's a chain reaction from the foot, and then there's a detour right here that says, I can't really get through, something's blocking me. And that's where the lymph system comes into play. You know, you grab probably 90% of the females we know, and you say, why do you work out? And then finally, when we dig down deep enough, they go, well, yeah, okay, you're right. I work out because I want to look better to myself and others. Okay, great. Don't judge it. Just be real. Mm-hmm. Second is health. Third is strength. Fourth is longevity. But number one is I got to love what I'm looking at in the mirror every day. Mm-hmm. And they're women. They actually admit it. Guys hide it and go, no, I love how I look, until nobody else is around. And we go, oh, I could be bigger, faster, stronger. We go to the self-judgment just like they do. If you really want to get more out of your workout, then change the way your body's aligned so that your lymphatic system can help you. Because physiologically, you're supposed to basically burn fat equalized all across the body. Is that correct?
Yes.
Think about what that's true. you should pull fat evenly from around the body. So a person loses 50 pounds. They lose it here, 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 and here. They don't lose it in the abdominal region and the lateral and posterior hip region. And they're like, well, yeah, no, that's next. I'm like, really? How about never? It's not going to happen.
Huh.
Because the way your heel hits the ground and the way your body pushes off the toe is so skewed because you're not hip driven anymore. You're upper body driven, that your body is spot pooling fat, what they call fat, which I call fat in a different spelling. I spell it PHAT because that's part of the lymphatic word. I need you to realize, ladies, if you're listening, it's not your fault. And I'm saying that just like Robin Williams said it to on Good Will Hunting, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. So if we want to get tears and all that stuff, it's true. I can make myself cry. It's not your fault when you don't realize that your lymph system is blocked up. And now we're talking about real health and wealth, because now we're talking about wellness, not just how do I look.
Right.
So this just isn't about posture and pain. There's that huge performance link at the end. And people want to be fix my posture, posture correction, posture correction, posture correction. Once that's corrected, we want to move you into posture conditioning. And once you move to conditioning, and it's not like 2 days in football, this is whatever you consider your own conditioning. It could be a walk, but a walk on a body that's better positioned so you get a better heel strike and you're pumping your lymph system. And in 30 days, you're going, all I did was walk and I finally dropped 4 pant sizes. But you walked in a better position, which unlocked the levee to allow the body to get rid of toxic fluid and byproducts.
Huh. Learn something new every day. I never made the connection with the posture and the lymph system and that stored fat in those areas. That's
well, I am so sick and fucking. Okay, let me.
You're good.
So sick and tired of people being lied to about why they should work out more and eat less. Now I'm telling you to eat less at a sitting, just because instead of 3 pieces of pizza, have 1.
Mm-hmm.
You know, have a big salad. But even a big salad like this with dressing, I don't care how many greens you're eating, it still has caloric intake when you really only needed this much.
Mm-hmm.
So start realizing that what you put swallow is what you get out physiologically.
Good stuff. Yeah. So let me ask you one question before we kind of start wrapping up here. For you personally, what has been the most transformational or life-changing event or experience that you've been through?
Event or just thought process? Because I can tell you.
Yeah, anything that's shifted in you that's been like, oh, this is what put me on a different path or changed something in your life.
I try 100% of the time, I mean, I know people don't get 100%, to take all judgment out of what's coming at me and what I'm putting out. So somebody says, Brian, you know, you swore a lot on stage today, or blah, blah, blah. Or Brian, hey, you're not as lean as I thought you should be because you're on Instagram and everybody else has their shirts off. And hey, Brian, you're this and you're this and you're this. And I'm going, okay, well, there's 2 ways to take that, Bill Clinton. Take it personally and fight back for what you believe is right, wrong. Mm-hmm. Or B, maybe I do need to take care of myself a little bit more and give a better impression if I'm up on stage in front of 15,000 people. Or did you need to use that vulgar language? No, I didn't. I really didn't. I'm sitting at dinner with Tony Robbins and Pete Egoscue maybe 2 years ago. And Tony said, yeah, you've heard me on stage at UPW. He goes, fuck, I swear a lot, don't I? I go, yeah, man. And somebody actually said to me, they thought you had Tourette's, and we were joking, right? He said, you know, in my personal life, I don't. Now, I'm a good listener. I think I am. So right away, I took it personally. I went, okay, that's a shot across your bow, Brian. Meaning, he's trying to get you to understand that you don't have to swear as much in your personal life. Because if you're going to send out a swear word, it better have some impact because it devalues who you are intellectually to the public. But if you use it in a strategic way, boom, get changed. It's like slapping somebody in the face a little bit. Wake up. So I try to, but then I don't take it personally. I looked at it and said, I'm going to assume he's right because he said it again. And then we finally talked about it and I said, hey, I'm picking up on what you're putting down. He goes, good, I hope so. He goes, because I had to learn the hard way. I said, oh, okay, that's interesting. Good, done, absolutely done, and know my audience. So when I look at things like that, I try to kill judgment going out of my mouth and my brain and my heart. That's number one, because you can't give away what you don't have. And if I have judgment, then I'm going to receive judgment. There's no way I'm going to not take judgment personally if I'm personally judging all the time.
Right.
And go ahead.
Well, I was going to say judgment it's a silent killer because we have this like hint of it. It drops emotions into our body, which screws up our physiology, screws up our flow of energy, and it puts us into a lower emotional state. And the more we do it, the more we live in that state. And again, you can't judge others without judging yourself, right?
That's exactly right. And look, I'm going to play you a video. I gave my kid the unfair advantage since the age of 2. He had no idea that I was training him. And I wasn't consciously going, you're going to be bigger, faster, stronger. It was, I'm going to give you the best chance to be the athlete you could be. Mm-hmm. But here's him running a 200-meter run, really never coached in running. But I just told him, move your arms as fast as you can. Your legs will catch up. What I didn't know is right before this race, the other trained sprinters at the age of 14 saw him come up and he's running. And of course it turned into race because he's the white kid there. And they said, ooh, this is your first time, you're a virgin, blah, blah, blah. We'll get ready to see the back of my cleats, blah, blah, blah. They were just talking so much stuff to him. Now my son takes that, doesn't fight them, but I kept training him to go, take that, don't bottle it up, put it over here where it can help you as fuel, and then teach them a lesson. And here's the lesson. So there he is in the back in the white shirt.
Okay.
It's a 200-meter run.
Oh, he's passing people fast.
It's 200 meters.
Wow.
Now,
I mean, he's 40 meters ahead.
That's correct. And right there, he started feeling bad, so he slowed down. And I said, well, hey, don't ever slow down again. You know, once you have your opponent there, you go at him again. This is an MMA fight for, you know, that's why I always wonder, but you make one hit in the MMA fight, and then the guy's down, he's stunned like this, and then the guy gets on him again and goes one more, because they've been trained, once he's down, you go down. So I'm not condoning that behavior.
Right.
What I'm saying is, mentally, that kid came up to him after and said, I don't know what happened. And Cole goes, I do. Don't ever piss me off like that again. And he goes, you can help yourself by just running your race. Because what I did is I taught you a lesson. And I wanted him to say this because you can actually help this kid become a better person rather than I'm the fastest runner, blah, blah, blah. Because he's going to get, you know, he gets to high school and college, he's going to run into the best runners of all time. So psychologically, we create a belief system at Egoscue. Your body's not broken. You are enough. And that's the catalyst for someone to have the results that I've shown you already, where the person goes from here to here, or a version of that, because they know, A, that we're there to support them, and B, the answer is yes. Can you help me? Yes. Well, I haven't even told you what's wrong with me. Don't care. Because that's like saying, would brushing my teeth help? Yes. Well, you don't even know if I have dental caries or anything else going on. Doesn't matter. You still should brush your teeth. So just oil the joints a little bit and your body will not let you down.
I love it. I love it. Well, I want to say I appreciate the interview. Any last thoughts you want to leave us with? And we'll put all the links to your content as well in the show notes. Yeah,
listen, don't ever tell me that we're going to do a 30-minute podcast ever again.
Okay.
Because I think this went just a tad longer.
Just a little bit over, but that's all right. The content's been really good, so I'm sure our audience will be okay with it.
Well, I will tell you from your audience standpoint, I have clinics all across the US. They're open to people coming in from people like you who say, look, they may not even know about this podcast right away, my clinics, until I put it out there to them for them to pass out to people.
Yep.
But when the person comes in and say, look, I came in from this podcast and I did this and this and this, and I feel so much better. Tell me why, what, when, and how. Their job never changes. It's the same as somebody saying, I read the Pain-Free book that Pete Egoscue wrote 21 years ago. Still the #1 book on Amazon for lower back pain and all that stuff. But it's still so relevant from, information-wise, that when they walk into that clinic, they're going to experience another level of what Egoscue does. So I welcome you guys to contact our clinics. I'm not asking you to spend $1. Just go in and get to know them. They'll support you. And then eventually you guys build a relationship together. I mean, it's that much fun. If you're not anywhere near our clinic, then Skype and FaceTime. And, I'll have contact information up here for me, and you guys can contact me, and I'll set you up with whoever I deem as the appropriate person for you.
Beautiful. And it's really life-changing stuff. So I appreciate you sharing with us. And I will be at UPW Miami in November. Will you be there as well?
For sure, dude. That's going to be so much fun.
All right. Well, we'll get together and hang out. So, all right, Brian, again, I appreciate it. And thanks so much.
Thanks again. Appreciate it.